Hello guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. Welcome to another exciting lesson entitled Factorial Notation. This is part of the chapter about permutations and combinations. Usually, we denote factorial notation as n factorial, and n factorial is always equal to n multiplied to n minus 1 factorial of that. Okay, example is 4 factorial. 4 factorial can be written as, since our n is 4, then you put 4, then you multiply it with 4 minus 1, which n minus 1 is, so 3, then you put in the factorial, and 3 factorial will still be the same thing if 3 is the value of the n. So therefore I can change 3 factorial to 3 times 2 factorial, but 2 factorial is equivalent to 2 times 1. So basically 4 factorial can be written as 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Thus, if you want to get the value of 4 factorial, just multiply everything. 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, you'll get 24. So the value of 4 factorial is 24. Okay? So that you will understand, I'll give you another example. Let's say 6 factorial. Okay? 6 factorial is equivalent to 6 times 6 minus 1 is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. So you'll have now 6 times 5 is 30, 30 times 4 is 120, okay, 120 times 3 times 2 times 1 is 6. So 120 times 6 is 720. So the value of 6 factorial is 720. Okay. Next example. How about if we are adding 2 factorials? Example 2 factorial plus 3 factorial. What is the equivalent value of this? It can be 3 times 1, because 2 factorial is 2 times 1. You add it with 3 times 2 times 1. Thus, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 times 2 is 6. So 2 plus 6 is equivalent to 8. Okay, so the value of 2 factorial plus 3 factorial is equal to 8. Okay, how about if we are multiplying 2 factorials? So let's say I have 3 factorial and multiplied by 4 factorial. Basically, even if I don't write times or multiply over here, 3 factorial, 4 factorial, you put them together without any symbol, you will say it's multiplication. Okay, now what's the value of this? It will be 3 times 2 times 1 multiplied by 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so you'll have 3 times 2 times 1 is 6, multiplied to 4 times 3 is 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 6 is 144. That's the value of 3 factorial times 4 factorial. Now let's go to division of factorials. Okay, if for example you are dividing, there are some shortcuts that you can do. For example, 9 factorial over 7 factorial. Okay, 9 factorial, remember, can be written as 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. But 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 can be written as 7 factorial. You divide it by 7 factorial, you can immediately remove the 7 factorial here. Thus, you will be left behind with 9 times 8, which is 72, which is now the value of 9 factorial over 7 factorial. Okay, let's have a mix of multiplication and division. Example, I have 4 factorial multiplied by 5 factorial divided by 6 factorial. So I'll have now 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. You multiply it with 5 factorial. Okay, over this 6 can be written as 6 times 5 factorial. Thus, I can remove the 5 factorial here. So I will be left with 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 6. But remember, 3 times 2 times 1 is 6. 6 divided by 6, you will basically cancel it out. Okay, cancel it out. So I have now the value of 4 factorial times 5 factorial divided by 6 factorial is basically 4. Okay, next also I have this problem. What is the value of 0 factorial? Okay, 0 factorial is basically equivalent to 1. Okay, why? There is no value. I don't start with 0 as well. Okay, it's basically equivalent to 1. Okay, one more example regarding this. Okay, let's say I have 12 factorial divided by 3 factorial times 10 factorial. Okay, remember that 12 factorial can also be written as 12 times 11 times 10 factorial divided by 3 times 2 times 1 times 10 factorial. Okay, and also remember that 10 factorial can be cancelled out. 3 times 2 is equivalent to 6. Okay, 3 times 2 times 1 is equivalent to 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So it means this will be 2 times 11. And 2 times 11 is equal to 22. The value now is 22. The value of this. Okay, so now we are going to move with some examples that involves n factorial. Okay, what I mean is no need for us to do numbers. Okay, for example, I have n plus 1 factorial divided by n factorial. What will be the equivalent value of this? Or if not a value, can be an expression as well. Okay, remember, n factorial is equivalent to n times n minus 1. Okay, how did we come up with that? We put in the first value is n, subtract 1, and then you'll get n minus 1. Subtract 1, we'll get n minus 2. Subtract 1, we'll get n minus 3. Therefore, I'll also need to subtract 1. But first, I need to write n plus 1. Okay, multiplied by n plus 1 minus 1 is n. Then, I'll have n minus 1 is n minus 1. I'll put factorial. Okay, divided by, I'll have n. What is n minus 1? Basically, you multiply it with n minus 1. I'll put factorial. If you notice, I can cancel out two things. I have n minus 1 factorial. Cancel it out. I can also cancel out n. which means the value of n plus 1 factorial divided by n factorial will be n plus 1. Okay. Next, let's have another problem. Let's say this will become minus 1. Okay, how about if this will become minus 1? Okay, I'm not going to touch the upper portion, but I'll just basically write it n minus 1, okay, factorial, and I'll put this n factorial is equivalent to this one, right? So n bracket n minus 1 factorial. Thus, I can cancel out this and this. We'll leave behind 1 on the numerator. So it means the value of n minus 1 factorial divided by n factorial is 1 divided by n. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, let's have one more. Okay, or I can give you two more examples. Okay, let's say I'll have n plus 2 factorial divided by n factorial. N plus 2, let's write it, n plus 2. N plus 2 minus 1 is n plus 1. Because n plus 2 minus 1 is n plus 1. N plus 1 minus 1 is n. So we'll end with that because this is n factorial. So I have n factorial over here. This will become n factorial. You cancel this out, you'll get the value or the expressions n plus 2 times n plus 1. Thus the answer will be this. Okay, next, last. Let's say I'll have 2n plus 1 factorial, 2n plus 1 factorial divided by 2n factorial. 2n plus 1, let's say you write it first, 2n plus 1. 2n plus 1 minus 1 basically will become 2n factorial divided by 2n factorial. I have 2n factorial and 2n factorial. You can remove them, then you will be left behind with 2n plus 1. Thus the value of, or the expression equivalent to 2n plus 1 factorial divided by 2n factorial is 2n plus 1. I hope you have learned a lot about factorial notation in watching this video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button.